This is a city where humans and monsters coexist. 3 years ago, a portal to another world opened in New York, destroying the city. Humans and monsters then built a new city here, called the City of Miracles. In this magical city, you never know what will happen next. Leo, a boy deeply moved by this unpredictability, first had his camera stolen by a creature named Sonic. While chasing it, he was bombarded by monsters, stepped on by a white-haired madman, and taken to a stronghold of an organization called Libra. After much confusion, they realized they had mistaken him for someone else. As 3 mysterious figures debated what to do with Leo, the king of depravity, Fempt, from the 13 kings of the other realm, issued a bizarre challenge to the entire city. He split the body of a demonic god into 2, hiding one half in a randomly appearing portal. The other half of the demon god and the city's humans must find this portal. If the demon god finds it first and reunites, the city will be completely destroyed. Unexpectedly, the portal appeared on Sonic. A powerful demon god instantly sliced through a building. Klaus, the leader of Libra, protected Leo with his body and ordered his subordinates to capture Sonic. Zap, quick-tempered, suspected Leo of being an undercover agent. Watching Klaus, who had saved him, Leo revealed his past. 6 months ago, he arrived in the City of Miracles with his disabled sister, hoping for good fortune. Indeed, a miracle occurred. The god of the other realm offered them the all-seeing eyes of God, which could see through the world, but at the cost of one losing their sight. Frightened, Leo trembled, but his sister stepped forward to bear the cost. Leo hated himself and vowed to find a way to restore his sister's sight in this city. The city's SWAT team identified several individuals as suspects in the recent unrest and prepared to arrest them. However, the demonic god could reunite at any moment, leaving little time for the Libra organization. They had to act quickly. Klaus knew Leo was not a bad person and that his all-seeing eyes of God could be very useful. He invited Leo to join the Libra organization. Then, after asking Leo and Zap to stop the demonic god, he confronted the armored SWAT team alone, despite his injuries. The white-haired man gripped the lighter tightly in his hand. In the next second, the blood knife appeared in his grasp. Just moments before, Leo and Zap had been tasked by their boss Klaus to pursue Sonic, who was possessed by half of the demonic god. However, they were ambushed en route, and the entire street turned into rubble. The other half of the demonic god appeared, ready to kill the survivors at the scene. Fortunately, Zap arrived just in time to save Leo. Zap prepared to face the demonic god alone, leaving Leo with the task of shooting Sonic. Zap charged at the demonic god and cut it in half with a single strike. But the powerful demon was not easily defeated. Its blood reformed, and it restored itself. Anticipating this, Zap turned his blood knife into threads, entangling the demon and flinging it like a sandbag. Taking advantage of the demon's slow recovery, Zap casually lit his lighter, resulting in a towering blaze. Seizing the opportunity, Leo rushed towards Sonic, but found himself unable to harm the little creature. The previous appearance of the demonic god had destroyed everything, yet the monkey remained unscathed, suggesting some overlooked detail. It was time to use his own power. It turned out all secrets were held within a flea on Sonic. By killing the flea, the crisis was averted. The game failed, and the King of Depravity furiously raged. After this battle, Leo officially joined the Libra organization. Klaus, the leader of the Libra organization, excels at brain grid blood battle style and is the strongest member. The second in command, Steven, specializes in Esmeralda blood freeze and is the strategic mind of the group. Zap is skilled in Big Dipper blood battle style and is a complete joker. The werewolf beauty, Chain, handles the organization's intelligence and tracking. There is also a kind but reticent butler. These odd characters made Leo feel like he had entered a den of thieves, but in reality, Libra plays a crucial role in protecting the city. Their thrilling and action-packed adventure officially starts now. The ordinary truck in front of the boy appeared as a completely different scene in his eyes. The demon sensed Leo's eye of God and discovered him. Leo, with Zap in tow, tried to escape. Clearly not intending to let Leo go easily, the demon severely injured Zap with a single strike. Unable to see through the demon's illusion, Zap could only watch as Leo was captured. Chain, receiving a call for help from Zap, tracked Leo's location. However, the demon's illusion was so strong that even with wolf-like vision, she quickly lost the target. Leo was taken inside the phantom truck, which was filled with kidnapped humans. Didn't they know that according to the Human-Demon Peace Treaty, consuming humans is illegal? The demon told Leo that the illegal smuggling of human flesh was highly profitable. The monster that cast illusions on the phantom truck appeared, discovering the secret of Leo's Eye of God and planned to dissect him back in another realm. Such valuable eyes were worth as much as several trucks of smuggled humans. The phantom truck headed deeper into the other realm, and Leo was helpless. After all, aside from having the Eye of God, he had no other skills. Zap, severely injured in the hospital and seemingly comatose, was actually concentrating on gathering blood threads. Before Leo was captured, Zap connected one end of the thread to him. Using blood bags from the hospital to replenish blood, he kept himself connected to Leo, miles away. By this time, all members of Libra were ready. As soon as the phantom truck stopped, they would immediately rush to the scene. Inside the truck, Leo was racing against time, hoping to develop a new skill for his Eye of God by observing Sonic. However, the demons noticed his actions. Unknown to them, Leo had already mastered his first ability, Plain Eyeballs, which controlled all eyes on the truck, causing dizziness. Thousands of miles away, Zap instantly sensed it was time. He ignited the blood thread with his lighter, sending a streak of fire towards the phantom truck. Chain followed closely. The butler, using the GPS on Chain, sped towards the truck's location, arriving almost simultaneously with the fire line. A spider monster lunged, but Steven kicked it away. As a demon was about to draw his sword, Klaus descended from above, unleashing blood battle style. Pattern 111, Kreuzvernichter Lanze, a massive blade of judgment that turned the demon and the phantom truck to ashes. Everyone had forgotten Leo was still inside the truck. Fortunately, Leo was unharmed and quickly recovered. Wandering in the hospital, he walked into a graveyard where he met a strange girl.
誰なんだい?
私ホワイト
If you woke up to find a malevolent god floating outside your window, how would you feel? The boy was shocked, but his landlord saw it as a stroke of great fortune. In a world where humans and monsters coexist, a deity like this could turn a slum into a famous landmark overnight. As a result, Leo was evicted and had to sleep on a couch at Libra headquarters. Zap, in a foul mood, sat directly on Leo's head. It turned out Zap had been bitten by a madman on the street. Despite being slashed by Zap, the attacker retained his combat ability. Klaus suspected this was due to Angel Armor, a new drug on the market that granted extraordinary healing powers, but caused loss of self-awareness. To track down more information on Angel Armor, Klaus decided to consult a friend from another realm and invited his good friend, Gun God KK, to join him. The other realm was full of oddities, with buildings defying physical laws and floating in space, and cars traveling on sky-high roads. They quickly reached their destination. Here, Klaus met Udir, the world's top chess player. Since their goals aligned, they decided to proceed together. Deep in the room, the group met Don Arlalel, who had been reigning in another realm for 1,000 years. He knew everything, and could fulfill almost any wish, provided one could either beat him or remain undefeated in a demonic chess duel within a set time. As the world's top chess player, Udir was confident. He hoped to win nuclear weapon manufacturing capabilities for his country through this game. Don Arlalel thought this request was manageable, requiring only that one withstand him for 9 hours. Klaus, however, felt Udir underestimated the opponent. Demonic chess was 1,000 times harder than regular chess, and its difficulty increased exponentially over time. Indeed, after just 1 hour, Udir was overwhelmed. Don Arlalel's brain capacity was 1,000 times that of a normal human, making him an unmatched opponent. According to the rules, Udir's life now belonged to Don Arlalel. However, as Don Arlalel was about to claim his life, Klaus stepped forward and offered to play in exchange for Udir's life. Don Arlalel agreed, but set the game duration to 99 hours. KK waited anxiously outside. Don Arlalel had studied war chess for 1,200 years. Klaus was literally risking his life in this game. As time passed, the difficulty of the chess game increased tenfold. Yet, Klaus, with remarkable stamina and resilience, kept up. By the 90th hour, Klaus reached his limit. Don Arlalel felt it was not worth it for someone as worthless as Udyr, but Klaus did not give up. Klaus lasted the full 99 hours, barely alive. Don Arlalel spared Udyr and also revealed the creator of Angel Armor. However, aside from KK, no one else knew how Klaus got the information. This is the luckiest man I've ever seen. Right after getting off the plane, it exploded. A runaway truck came hurtling towards him but was stopped by a monster. The man, Abrams, was unharmed, but those around him were not so lucky. Abrams, one of the world's leading vampire counteraction experts, is deeply hated by vampires. They cursed him, but his incredible luck allows him to turn misfortune into fortune. However, those not so lucky who are around him suffer the consequences of the curse. This is why everyone is afraid of Abrams. Abrams came to the Libra headquarters because of Leo, who possesses the all-seeing eyes of God. While on the subway, Leo saw a mysterious person with red blood wings. Another boy on the train told Leo that besides humans and monsters, there is a minority group of powerful vampires invisible to the naked eye, each capable of taking on thousands. Leo shared his subway experience with Klaus, causing a state of high alert at Libra. Everyone knows how terrifying vampires can be. Facing such a challenging situation, Klaus had no choice but to call Abrams. Unexpectedly, Abrams brought with him a hand belonging to one of the 13 vampire elders. Libra had once fought this elder, who destroyed a battleship and killed 300 soldiers with a single move. The vampire elders are nearly indestructible, with hardly any weaknesses. After sacrificing 50 high-ranking members, Libra barely managed to sever this hand. Years later, the hand still possesses vigorous vitality. Vampire experts speculate that the DNA of this hand holds the names and weaknesses of all vampires, potentially the only hope for their eradication. If anyone can uncover this secret, it would be Leo with his all-seeing eyes of God. Leo activated the eyes of God, revealing the hidden directory. But immediately after, sparks flew from his eyes, and he collapsed unconscious. To investigate vampires, the group took the subway to the eternal void at the city center, shrouded in thick fog. No one knew what lay deep within the fog. Based on observations of the Elder's DNA, Abrams believed Leo had acquired the capability to detect vampires. He planned to have Leo use the all-seeing eyes of God to sense the number and location of vampire elders deep in the fog. When the eyes of God were activated, countless blood wings flickered, casting a red glow deep into the fog. The vampires inside were innumerable. The powerful force radiated onto the all-seeing eyes of God, instantly causing severe harm to Leo. This woman is the immortal vampire elder Garika. All the human police who came to subdue her were killed and turned into her minions. Upon receiving the police report, Libra urgently dispatched forces to assist. KK and Steven warned the surrounding police to keep their distance, as a being like a vampire elder is beyond human handling. The subway station was filled with bodies, and both KK and Steven were on high alert. As elite members of Libra, they easily handled a few obstructing puppets and prepared for a swift and decisive battle, using their full strength. Chain livestreamed the scene to Klaus. With the situation critical, Zap urged the train to speed up. KK and Steven confronted Garika, dramatically changing the course of the battle. Steven's attacks couldn't touch Garika, and while KK's bullets inflicted damage, Garika recovered instantly. Garika then counterattacked, defeating KK and Steven. She knew they were human-made weapons with genetic enhancements, but clearly, human technology was still imperfect. Their abilities could not inflict permanent damage, and an elder vampire could quickly heal. Despite this, Steven remained confident. He believed that with continued human effort, a way to completely kill vampires would eventually be found. But for now, humanity was not helpless. Klaus is humanity's strongest weapon against vampires. Garika was shocked to discover that her full name and weaknesses were known. In fact, these details were observed by Leo using the eyes of God through his smartphone screen. This was the first time humans successfully sealed an elder vampire. Although victorious, Leo still felt dejected because he saw countless powerful vampires hiding deep within the fog. However, his spirits lifted when he saw the fighters of Libra. They seem to be on fire. Indeed, for them, powerful enemies are not to be feared. True cowardice lies in giving up without trying. Leo and White have recently been getting along very well. He really likes this interesting girl. However, for some reason, White was uncharacteristically aloof today and ignored him. What Leo doesn't know is that the boy with glasses he met on the subway actually knows White. The boy is very interested in Leo's all-seeing eyes of God and has a deep connection with another powerful entity.
お前らのお友達、絶望だよ。
These two unlucky guys were nearly hit by Optimus Prime while riding a motorcycle. They thought they were safe, but the next second, a truck was effortlessly lifted by an unidentified object. Both Zap and Leo were terrified. At that moment, Steven learned about the situation from the TV. Recognizing the truck, Klaus and Steven immediately took action and headed to the Supernormal Human Research Center. In the prison, a mysterious man was shackled, clearly a dangerous entity. This man, known as Hummer, was an old acquaintance of theirs. Abrams needed Hummer's help and released him. However, as soon as the shackles were removed, Hummer's blood sprayed out and grabbed Abrams. This blood monster, named Brody, was stopped by Hummer in time. Then, the three of them went to rescue Zap and Leo. Hummer was brought along because the monster truck's owner was also the creator of Hummer and the monster inside him. Meanwhile, Zap and Leo were in grave danger, and Chain was watching from a streetlight. The ground cracked, sending Leo flying and hanging from the monster truck. It was then that he met the truck's owner, Queen of Monomania Allegora, one of the 13 rulers of another realm. Leo learned from Allegora that her boyfriend was a monster named Brody. Although she liked his personality, she found him ugly. So, Allegora minced Brody into a paste and then drained the blood from Hummer to fill him with Brody, creating her idea of the perfect boyfriend. Leo wanted nothing more than to escape from this crazy woman. Fortunately, Hummer and Klaus arrived just then. Allegora greeted them cheerfully, while Hummer was filled with nightmarish memories. Brody burst out of Hummer, enveloping him and transforming into a red giant. He then punched the monster truck. The earth-shattering noise caught the attention of the King of Despair, who was dining with the King of Depravity, making him worry about acquiring the Eye of God. At this moment, Leo was truly miserable. Allegora was forcing him to bravely declare his love to White, something difficult for a straightforward man like him. He could only hope for Klaus to rescue him quickly. Meanwhile, Libra's members found Hummer, who had been thrown away, and the strongest team assembled. The plan to intercept the monster truck officially began. After a brief rest, the monster truck restarted. As a pure love warrior, Allegora would not stop until she captured Hummer. Steven contacted Leo, and Libra had assembled fully to confront the Queen of Monomania. The first step of the plan was to use Leo's Eyes of God to control the monster truck's vision and lead it into Libra's ambush. The plane eyeballs were activated, controlling the truck's vision and successfully redirecting it. KK, positioned 2 kilometers away, launched an AOE skill, eliminating the obstructive steel bugs. Next, it was Steven's task to freeze the ground, immobilizing the truck's wheels and causing it to lose control completely. However, this was still not secure enough. Klaus sent the monster truck skyward, preparing it for Hummer's strongest strike. Hummer and Brody had been waiting for this day for a long time. Although they had independent consciousnesses, their lives fused tightly when they merged. Over time, they became friends, but their hatred for the Queen of Monomania never diminished. Then, Hummer asked Brody to remove all his armor and concentrate all his blood into one fist. The powerful force distorted the surrounding space. The monster truck was punched into the sky, and its disintegrating pieces fell, causing casualties to hundreds of thousands in the city. The turmoil ended dramatically, and fortunately, Leo was not mistakenly injured. Witnessing everything unfold, the secret meeting between the King of Despair and the King of Depravity also came to an end. The King of Despair was confident about the future plans, and the King of Depravity was looking forward to them. Leo was lucky to have only minor injuries. His good mood was shattered the moment he saw White talking with the doctor. Thinking of the day's events with the Queen of Monomania, Leo found the courage from somewhere. He grabbed a confused White and rushed to the cinema. It was their first date, and the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Although a comedy was playing on the screen, White shed tears. Leo instantly felt he had ruined everything.
情けないよね。
そんなことないわ。レオはいいやつよ。
After what was supposed to be a wonderful date, when Leo found White again, he saw the mysterious boy he had encountered on the subway before. This boy turned out to be White's brother.
ブラックって呼んで。
A coffee was about to spill on the boy, but the next second, it froze mid-air, revealing Black's ability. Leo was completely surprised to discover that Black had supernatural powers, though not particularly strong ones. First, Leo learned of White's heart condition from Black, then discovered Black's superpowers. Knowing so many secrets all at once was overwhelming for Leo. Back at Libra, the peaceful atmosphere was a bit discomforting for Leo, as he was used to a different kind of welcome. Although it was strange, Leo admired Zap's relentless spirit in challenging the boss. Then Leo received a distress call from Zap, who was pleading for Klaus's help. When they reached the location where Zap was supposedly kidnapped, they entered deep into the building only to find a bustling underground fighting arena instead of Zap. Unbeknownst to Klaus, he had fallen into a trap set by Zap and the arena's boss to clear a gambling debt. They staged the entire scenario, with Klaus cluelessly stepping into the ring. In the ring, no weapons were allowed. Fighters had to engage in hand-to-hand combat, a true boxer's paradise. Soon, Klaus faced his first opponent, the undefeated champion of the arena. The match began, and before Klaus could throw a punch, his opponent was instantly defeated by another fighter. The striker was the top boxer of Eden, Kato, who had already won 20 consecutive matches. The boss arranged a medical team ready to save Klaus's life, while Zap was fully confident. As the fight started, Klaus launched a flurry of punches, overpowering Kato without giving him a chance to retaliate. A decisive move knocked Kato out completely, leaving him unable to fight. The crowd went wild, and even the boss hadn't seen such ferocity in a long time. Klaus intended to leave and search for Zap, but seeing the audience's expectations, he softened and decided to continue fighting. In this era, despite having supernatural powers and coming from different worlds and races, there seems to be a timeless desire in men's hearts to fight one-on-one, barehanded. It's not about the bloodshed, but rather a kind of illness embedded in men's genes. Klaus became more exhilarated with each fight, even enjoying himself, and soon knocked out the season's champion. The audience was thrilled. Suddenly, seeing a strong competitor, the boss of the underground arena couldn't resist stepping into the ring himself. Admiring Klaus's strength and following the underground rules, the boss's participation meant the winner of this fight would gain ownership of the underground arena. The boss charged at Klaus, who instantly blocked the strike. The two fighters, truly the strongest, exchanged blows without gaining the upper hand, their powerful punches sparking intense heat. Klaus fought like a mighty Spartan soldier, using his left hand for defense and his right hand ready to strike, relying on iron fists and keen eyes without any fancy techniques. As time passed, the boss gradually began to overpower Klaus. However, Klaus's defensive left hand suddenly launched an attack, landing a punch on the boss. Unexpectedly, this punch burst the boss's head open, revealing a small creature inside. To Klaus's astonishment, the creature claimed it had not killed the boss, but was merely inhabiting the already dead body to enjoy the thrill of fighting. Leo activated the Eye of God and discovered the creature was a vampire. The vampire, with its blood wings unfurled, easily knocked Klaus away. Fortunately, not all vampires are murderous, and the trio safely left Eden. Klaus, ever straightforward, was still unaware that Zap had tricked him. Leo had already learned of Zap's shameful actions from the fighters and openly criticized him as shameless. On the way home, Leo encountered Black again. Black took Leo to a museum and shared the origin of the city. 3 years ago, a bizarre spatial collapse occurred, blending the human world with other realms. This nearly destroyed all of New York City. However, unbeknownst to many, several powerful sorcerers united to create a massive barrier that prevented the collapse from spreading, potentially saving the planet. Leo admired Black's extensive knowledge of the collapse, though Black wished he could exchange that knowledge for the lives and health of his parents and sister. Leo's interest in the collapse was piqued by Black, leading him to study it further. After 2 days, Leo saw Zap, who looked as if he were pregnant due to overeating. It turned out Zap had taken a liking to a KFC waitress and ate 8 family buckets a day just to get her phone number. This waitress happened to be a friend of Chain, who was then asked to deal with Zap's bizarre behavior. Meanwhile, Steven received news that the bloodline gate had opened in India. 2 vampires, each with elder-level strength, were rushing towards the city. Their battle was so fierce that it set the skies ablaze and nearly leveled entire blocks. KK, on a sniping mission, found a little girl in the street. Fortunately, Steven arrived just in time to use his blood powers to freeze the flames. Together, they continued towards the battlefield. In front of them, 2 figures were confronting each other, confusing KK and Steven. Fortunately, their experience allowed them to quickly identify which one was the vampire, and they promptly used their powers to deal with it. Unexpectedly, the other figure chased after Zap, causing KK and Steven to think they had attacked the wrong person. However, the previously sealed vampire broke free from its bindings at that moment. Just then, the mysterious creature reappeared with Zap, unleashing countless blood threads that restricted the vampire's movement. The blood threads then ignited, engulfing the vampire in flames, and a tornado formed around the fire, intensifying it. Amid the vampire's screams, it transformed into an egg covered with eyes, known as the true womb egg, a self-protective form used by vampires at the brink of death. Controlling Zap, the mysterious creature introduced itself to KK and Steven as the creator of the Big Dipper blood technique and Zap's master, known as the Blood Battle God. His age and the number of vampires he had killed were unknown. Blood Battle God planned to take Zap with him. Although the rest of Libra were juniors in his presence, they did not want their friend Zap to leave. Seeing this, Blood Battle God offered them a trial. This is a true womb egg sealing an elder-level vampire. However, it's not a creature that ordinary mechs can approach. To completely destroy it, you must destroy all 6 eyes at the same time. Completing the trial, set by Blood Battle God, seems nearly impossible. Blood Battle God has locked Zap and the true womb egg together, which everyone thinks is a bit excessive. However, Zap is unusually calm and ready to challenge himself. Reflecting on his miserable experiences since becoming an apprentice, each situation more extreme than the last, Zap is now on the brink of collapse, convinced he's about to die. At that moment, Zap's secret crush calls Chain, wanting to ask Zap out. Chain regretfully informs her that Zap is about to die. Hearing this, Zap explodes with emotion. Even Blood Battle God has to admit that Zap's power in that moment is 1,000th of his own. Zap rushes to grab the phone from Chain, eager for the date, only to hear a dial tone. Feeling utterly deceived by Chain, Zap is left in despair. Meanwhile, everyone else is at a loss with the true womb egg. Even the all-seeing eyes of God can't see through it, making it impossible to fully seal it. Blood Battle God explains that the vampire is invisible because it only has half its body. To fully seal it, he has already arranged for the other half to be brought here. The passenger plane, hijacked by a mysterious creature and covered in blood-red patterns on the nose, was directed toward the city by Blood Battle God as the other half of the vampire. Members of Libra were poised and ready, while city dwellers, unalarmed, gathered by the river to watch. Among them were 3 of the 13 kings of the other world. The King of Depravity was dissatisfied with the lack of progress in the King of Despair's plan for a second great collapse, unaware that everything was already in place, waiting only for White's approval to complete the final step. As the plane approached, a massive tentacle shattered it, leaving only the nose continuing its trajectory. At that moment, Hummer transformed into armored mode and rushed out to embrace the nose, slowing its impact. Leo activated the Eye of God to ascertain the vampire's full name, but Klaus, feeling it was too slow, jumped down with Leo and Zap to the crash site. As expected of Libra's top combatant, Klaus easily neutralized the Elder Vampire's lethal attacks. However, the vampire's strength was not to be underestimated. Within seconds, it regenerated its upper body from a mass of flesh. If it were to merge with its lower half, its destructive power would be unimaginable. Leo activated the Eyes of God. Besides the vampire's powerful force field, there was another person inside the plane. With no time to identify him, Leo quickly completed the Elder's name. The battle to annihilate the vampire officially began. Hummer immediately transported Leo to a safe location. In a daze, Leo saw a massive red light covering the entire city as if some seal had broken. Meanwhile, far away in a hospital, White collapsed in pain, seemingly suffering a great trauma. On the vampire battlefield, amid several flashes of sword light, Zap met his legendary junior for the first time. Unexpectedly, the heir to the Big Dipper blood battle style, the Wind God, turned out to be a half-fish man. The fusion of the Wind God and Fire God in the Big Dipper blood battle style is incredibly powerful. Although the Elder-level vampire only has half its body, it can still easily destroy all of New York City. Summoned by it, the other half of the body rushes towards the main body. Once united, it aims to completely annihilate the Libra members before it. The situation is critical, and Zed immediately enters combat mode, releasing countless blood threads in the air towards the vampire. Blood Battle God is supposed to ignite these blood threads to severely damage the vampire before it can fully merge. However, Blood Battle God shows no intention of intervening, hinting that Zap and his junior are expected to join forces. Indeed, the Big Dipper blood battle style proves invincible when combining wind and fire. Even a fully formed Elder-level vampire only ends up on the receiving end of blows. With its heart exposed, the task is left to Klaus. Together, the members of Libra reseal this powerful vampire, averting a citywide disaster. Blood Battle God is very pleased with the strength of the Libra members, feeling confident enough to leave Zed to travel the world. Blood Battle God's departure leaves everyone else baffled, and Zed faints on the spot. However, Blood Battle God is not as unreliable as it seems. He leaves Zed because he knows Libra needs help. A disaster is brewing in the hands of the King of Despair. The Queen of Monomania, Aligura, has successfully created an Eye of God extractor. Everything is ready. Now it all depends on White. Legends say that when a person is close to starving, they might encounter the god of food from the infinite universe. Leo now truly regrets asking Zap and Zed to join him for dinner. The brothers, always competing, choose bizarre places to eat. A restaurant that serves vomit as food, oyster soup that devours its diners, a sushi bar run by cockroaches, a steakhouse that cuts meat on site, and greasy elf soup. The places these two jerks take Leo are utterly ridiculous. Indeed, Leo becomes a casualty of their rivalry. At the brink, Leo feels the wrath of the god of food, warning that if he does not eat properly, doom will surely follow. Fortunately, Zap and Zed finally compromise, and it seemed the three could enjoy a meal together. However, the restaurant owner's mistress arrives to physically attack his wife, ruining a lavish meal with bloodshed. At the next respectable restaurant, the formidable owner fights off local gangsters and serves soup made from an arm to the customers. Finally, Leo snaps. The two drag him to a familiar fast food restaurant and order a meal. At this moment, Leo is tearful, never expecting that a massive suit of armor would drop from the sky. Zed quickly saves Leo and a waiter, finding himself in danger. Luckily, Zap intervenes to rescue Zed. Over the past 2 days, Klaus has been secretly cooperating with the police to investigate the mysterious disappearance of 1,000 sets of decommissioned armor. The final showdown took place outside a restaurant. After a day of turmoil, the group finally managed to have a meal, but Zap ended up in the hospital with a stomach ailment. Here, Leo encounters White again, who is pleased that Leo has made new friends. As the three chat, Libra, under Abram's leadership, meets with the powerful organization of sorcerers dedicated to preventing a major collapse. The Sorcerers Association members all possess formidable abilities. The leader of the New York branch, known as Elder, has inscrutable power. Elder approached Abrams because a previous battle between Libra and a vampire Elder had damaged the barrier stabilizing the major collapse. This issue was actually planted 3 years ago, and now, as the barrier nears its breaking point, the sorcerer responsible for its repair has died. However, his children survived, and Elder suspects they are key to fixing the barrier. He hopes Libra will help investigate and protect them. Meanwhile, after sending Zed off, White and Leo head to the hospital's chapel to pray. Faced with the kind-hearted Leo, White struggles to act until the King of Despair appears, prompting White to finally make a decision.
あなたのその目、私にちょうだい。
This boy is a born ability user whose mere crying poses a catastrophic threat. Despite such power, he is still bullied at school. Every time he sees his timid brother, White gets very angry. Their parents are powerful sorcerers in the Sorcerers Association, where abilities are passed down through bloodlines. However, there was a twist with White. His brother inherited double the abilities, while his sister was just a normal person with a heart condition. To White, his brother Black hiding his superpowers seemed like a waste. This belief was completely changed one day when school bullies stole White's camera. Seeing this, the timid Black didn't hesitate and confronted the bullies to demand the camera back. The bullies threw the camera off a bridge and Black jumped after it, risking his life. Fortunately, Black was unharmed, but White understood his brother's love. Facing his crying sister, Black revealed why he hid his powers. As a child, he accidentally hurt his sister with his abilities. However, White didn't blame him. Black felt he wasn't as strong-hearted as his sister and feared misusing his powers. He resolved not to use his powers until he became stronger than his sister. This broke the barrier between them, making them incredibly close. This harmony lasted until the major collapse 3 years ago, which killed their parents within a barrier. A mysterious orb tried to take over White's body. Black stepped forward, offering himself in exchange for his sister's life. As the orb merged with him, Black became the human form of the King of Despair. As the extractor attached to Leo's eyes, he collapsed instantly. Amid White's cries and the King of Despair's whistling, Leo was slowly dragged into the abyss, bringing the King of Despair's plan closer to fruition. Meanwhile, the city's people remained oblivious, immersed in the festive atmosphere. With Leo's Eye of God, the King of Despair could finally see through the magical formation covering the city, which had been set up by the Sorcerers Association to stop the major collapse 3 years ago. Now, the King of Despair was about to find and destroy the formation's weak point, restarting the major collapse to erase the human world completely. As the seal loosened, White clutched her heart and collapsed in pain. Finally, the King of Despair found the weak point of the seal. It was White.
心臓代わりの結界が今のあいつを生かしてる。
This girl in a coma may never know that it was her brother who ended everything for her with the cold muzzle of a gun. As the barrier replacing White's heart shattered, a second major collapse began, starting in New York City. The Sorcerers Association's elite rushed to stabilize the core of the barrier. However, due to the missing key formation, the situation looked grim. To prevent irreparable damage, Libra was officially tasked with assisting in the search for the lost core of the formation. The elders identified White as key to solving the problem, prompting Libra to deploy all members. White's origins are secret, and only Leo's Eye of God can locate her. Finding Leo is now crucial. At this moment, in front of the coma-stricken Leo, the King of Depravity from the otherworldly 13 Kings appeared. To him, world destruction is dull. A world of humans and monsters is far more interesting. Thus, to make the plot more intriguing, Leo was awakened and released. Although still visually impaired, Leo walked towards the ground, driven by his determination. The ground was in chaos. The King of Despair was using Black's innate powerful abilities to turn everything to ruins, with buildings flying everywhere. The Sorcerers Association sensed the source of the power. It was Black. Investigators urgently notified Klaus that Black was using his powers at the cost of his life. If not stopped soon, the barrier would completely collapse, and Black would also perish. On the other side, to amplify the apocalyptic atmosphere, the King of Depravity summoned countless ghouls. Unaware of the situation above ground, Leo persevered forward. As his glasses fell off, his vision gradually returned. He thought of White and everyone at Libra. Eventually, light appeared before him, not of hope, but a city in ruins. Overwhelmed with emotions, Leo realized something had befallen White. Suddenly, Sonic appeared with a video of White asking for Leo's help. Something meant for Klaus but brought to Leo instead. None of that mattered now. After holding back for so long, it was time for Leo to save the world. He sprinted with all his might, facing hordes of ghouls on his path. At this critical moment, the man of luck arrived. bringing a meteor shower with him. Lucky Man Abrams emerged from the flames, informing Leo that white was the secret to the barrier. Leo had already guessed this much. Now, all that was left was to find the King of Despair and end everything. Leo continued forward, undeterred. Just then, the armored Hummer arrived, knowing Leo was headed for the barrier. Without a second thought, it unleashed its full power. Leo was thrown high into the air, but thankfully, Chain caught him just before he could crash into a building. A line of blood pulled Leo back as Zed helped him land safely. However, Leo kept pushing forward blindly. Such reckless charging was not feasible, and Zed pulled him back, calling it foolishness. How could one person rush into the perilous core of the barrier alone? But Leo was resolute. Zed was angry. While Leo's courage was commendable, rashness could lead to a needless loss of life. As a member of Libra, Leo must remember that he is never fighting alone. He has his teammates by his side. In the broken church, the King of Despair quietly awaited the final moment. On the mottled steps, a man with red hair slowly walked in. The newcomer was none other than Klaus von Reinherz, the pinnacle of Libra's strength. Klaus would not back down. He pressured the King of Despair to release Black's consciousness. The King of Despair hurled a meteor, which Klaus easily blocked. Facing the King of Despair's top-tier control of supernatural abilities, Klaus overpowered him with brute strength, breaking free from petrification to capture him. Even when confronting the King of Despair, Klaus remained kind, preferring to sacrifice himself to protect the boy before him. The King of Despair could not understand why humans were so foolish, always taking on unnecessary responsibilities unrelated to themselves. Perhaps only destruction could enlighten them. This was the ultimate showdown between humanity's strongest, Klaus, and the King of Despair. Klaus, the pinnacle of Libra's strength, held his own against the King of Despair, one of the 13 alien kings. The King of Despair wielded his powerful psychokinesis to control the debris of surrounding buildings, assaulting Klaus. However, Klaus's brain grid blood battle style was equally formidable. Ultimately, the King of Despair proved superior. As the sky filled with light and debris, Klaus lay defeated in a pool of blood when the dust settled. Meanwhile, Leo raced against time. The path ahead was perilous for an ordinary boy. Unsure if he could survive, Leo fell and rose repeatedly, each time drawing strength from the power given by his friends at Libra. This time, KK and Steven, the ice and lightning duo, were with him. Zap's indiscriminate attacks were no less potent than Abrams. Leo was furious, possibly at his most powerful this season. The recent battle caused one of the eyes of God to shatter, making Leo extremely agitated. However, Zap felt that a real man just gets on with it. The King of Despair bid Klaus a final farewell. He felt that Black within him, like Klaus, was pitiful for always sacrificing himself for others. There were too many such people, and each one deserved death. It was time to say goodbye to Klaus. With Leo's arrival, sunlight began to dispel the city's gloom. Perhaps this boy was not strong, but he had a powerful heart, as brave as Klaus's. Maybe he could create a miracle. This was Leo's shining moment with the eyes of God. Through them, Leo saw Black's presence, still fighting tenaciously. At the same meeting place, now in ruins, both individuals remained as they were at the beginning. Now, only White could defeat the King of Despair and save Black. Leo charged towards the King of Despair, activating the eyes of God. Before the King of Despair could react, he saw White approaching. The King of Despair's blood-red eyes finally showed a hint of clarity. Black was back. He wanted to keep White, but his energy was nearly depleted. White felt blessed to have had an extra 3 years. It was time to say goodbye. Black used the last of his strength, sealing White with a sorrowful heart, repairing the entire city. Golden roots spread across the new New York City, centered around the siblings, quickly restoring everything to its original state. Or perhaps not for Leo, who had lost his white. Amidst the ruins, only he and Klaus remained, two equally determined heroes. Klaus felt Leo had grown. However, facing this man who was like a mentor and father, Leo finally lost control of his emotions and burst into tears. All this was seen by Black in the distance, wondering if White in heaven had seen her brave knight.